Heavy Rain. Stuck in development for nearly 5 years with only a few demo trailers released sporadically to satiate gamers' appetites, Quantic Dream's epic interactive drama was finally released for the PS3 on February 23rd. With so much hype surrounding the game, but with little tangible information given about it prior to its release, the game was cast in doubt as another one of Sony's empty promises. However, whatever reservations that would-be players had should be dashed away, for Heavy Rain is a must-play for every PS3 owner. Being an interactive drama, it would make for a disappointing game if Heavy Rain didn't have a compelling and genuinely interesting story, but thankfully that is not the case. You play as 4 different characters that are tied together by a string of murders committed by a serial killer that has been dubbed the Origami Killer. Ethan Mars, a father traumatized by the death of one of his sons, Norman Jayden, an FBI agent assigned to the Origami Killer case, Scott Shelby, a private investigator hired by the families of the murdered, and Madison Page, a woman who seemingly has no tentative connection, but becomes involved as she happens upon Ethan. While all 4 characters are integral to the story, it's Ethan's that takes center stage, in his personal journey to save the life of his other son from being taken by the Origami Killer. The story is shaped by your decisions in-game. Characters live and die by your actions. If one of the main characters becomes incapacitated in some way, the story will continue without them. There's no such thing here as a true game over. No matter how the story forms itself around you, though, it always finds some way to drag you into the narrative. Forgiving a slow beginning as the game picks up pace and never seems to slow down, Heavy Rain is one of the most personal, earnest, and somehow epic story in recent gaming. To truly get the gameplay of Heavy Rain, one must enter it in the right mindset. In layman's terms, most everything is handled through a series of quick-time events, which, as of late, has become a dirty word in the gaming culture. Whereas most games that implement this tired-out trope usually only amount to serving as an artificial game lengthener, in Heavy Rain, every event feels like there's much more weight behind it. Since it's possible to continue the game if you mess up an event, they don't feel tedious, rather they feel genuinely challenging. But if you do mess up an event, or if something didn't go the way you planned, you can go back to previous chapters and replay them, so long as you bear in mind that the further you go back in the story, the more you have to play to catch up from where you left off. Despite the well implementation of the QuickTime events, they still could be better situated, as more often than is acceptable, you'll find yourself repeatedly tapping a button when you should be holding it down, mainly because the differentiation between the prompts is too subtle, especially when you're preoccupied with trying to not die. Movement is also a bit stiff, since you have to hit the right trigger to actually walk. Moving the analog stick shifts the camera towards objects that you can interact with. To the game's credit, the stiff movement doesn't hamper the action-heavy sequences, but getting from place to place can be a trudge. There was never a moment of doubt that the game would end up looking beautiful to behold, as the infamous tech demo The Casting were to be any indication. But 3 years later, it's astounding to see how much the game would improve. Subtle emotions, skin decolorations, realistic imperfections, they're all in the detail. Not only that, but the environments share the same level of craftsmanship. The muted color palettes, incredible water physics for the rain, all being tied together with a moody, somber score that captures an atmosphere that is almost haunting. Occasionally, you'll spot an unfinished render here and there, and sometimes the characters slip into the uncanny valley, especially around their mouths. But that doesn't stop Heavy Rain from being a benchmark of what graphics can look like. Performances, oddly enough, are rather lopsided and uneven. While some characters are perfectly casted, others feel like they're just not meant for their respective roles. The actors' accents feel out of place in what is supposed to be an American town. Hearing a disguised but noticeably French accent from the character Lauren Winter, for example, just comes off as surreal. In my years reviewing games, I've yet to play a game that captures so much of what interactive storytelling is all about as much as Heavy Rain does. To say that Heavy Rain is a good game, or even a great game, would be a disservice to it. Heavy Rain is nothing short of importance, a game that should be held as an example of how video games can influence and revolutionize storytelling. I'd be lying if I said the game didn't have an acquired taste about it, but if you have even the slightest tingling of interest or curiosity about the game, then there's no reason to not play it.